Right, we'll start so long, and as people join, we can include them. Welcome to your first Introduction to Fundamentals music class. We are happy that you are part of this class and that you can participate through Zoom. As you'll find out just now, I am hoping that we'll be able to have quite a few of these classes live on campus, but we'll talk about that just now. First thing that I want to speak about today is to find out how many of you managed to access the videos through Learn 2022. Some of you probably accessed the videos through the link that I provided on WhatsApp, but I'm just interested to find out how many of you managed to get on to Learn and to access those videos. Just put up your hand if you did do that through Learn. Tembaletu, I see that you did that. Thank you. Dumisani, Zibuyile, Paradise. Thank you. Now, in about 2 weeks' time, I'm not going to be putting those links onto WhatsApp, because by that stage, everybody should be registered and you should be able to access Learn. If you've only registered in the last day or two, it usually takes about 48 hours before the modules appear on Learn 2022. So if you've just registered, you won't be able to see your modules yet, but they will come up in due time. Also, just a reminder, some of you have been asking me this, but I just want to remind you, we spoke about it on Tuesday in the welcome meeting. 2 of your modules will not be there. Performance skills and practical studies will not appear on Learn 2022. And the reason for this is that they are practical subjects. Can you imagine if we had your singing lessons, your dancing lessons, your instrumental lessons through Zoom or through that online portal? It would be very difficult because each of us learns in a unique way for our instruments. So we'd need to have access for everybody individually. And that this computer program, which we are using called Learn 22, doesn't allow us personal access to that module so that just your music lessons can be there. So for that reason, we don't put those modules up. It doesn't mean that you're not registered for them. It simply means that your classes will be organized with you individually with your lecturers. Okay. Now, the next thing that I want to find out, if you can please raise your hand if you've done this, I want to find out how many of you have applied for a permit so far to come onto campus. If you can raise your hand, if you have applied for a permit. All right. Thank you. You can take your hands down. Please, I'm asking you now, for those of you who are fully registered so far, that you apply for the permit as soon as possible so that you can be permitted onto campus. And the reason that I'm asking you for this is that I would really like to have this class face-to-face with you in a classroom. And you'll soon see why that is the case. It's very difficult to teach this kind of subject, just like it is for your practical subjects, without being able to see you and outside of real time. You'll see just now that when we do some clapping exercises together on a learning platform like Zoom, because we're not in exactly the same time space, when I clap something here, it takes time for it to go up to the satellite and come back down to you. And in that split second, it creates a time delay. And that makes it very difficult for us to do these things in real time. So my preference is for us to be meeting live in class. For that to happen, each of you will need a permit. But I am well aware that some of you are not fully registered yet, and so you cannot get a permit. That's fine. I will still continue to give these classes online. But for those who can attend live, those people will be free to do so. So we will have the the Zoom meeting open while I'm teaching live, and you'll still be able to interact with me if you have questions and if you want to participate with the clapping as well. So we've done this last year as well. Those who had been vaccinated and were allowed onto campus came to the live classes, and those who preferred not to come to the live classes for whatever reason it may be, could participate through the online portal. There will always be that option. But I think it will be to your benefit if you are there live and if you can participate live in the class. So I'm asking you, please, if you haven't yet applied for your permit, that you do so, and soon, so that by next week we can start meeting face to face. For that to happen, besides your permit, you will need to come to the class with your mask correctly applied, and you will need to sanitize your hands as you come into the music department. If you've not been to the music department before, at the Francis Stock building, you'll find that as you go through the door on your right-hand side, there is a sanitizing station which you will need to use. I will provide details about where the live class will be from next week once we have an idea how many people have got the permits. So far, are there any questions about what I have asked you about so far in terms of permits? Okay. Then the second thing that I want to speak about is your worksheets. Every week you will have a worksheet to submit. It's a bit like English in that there is something for you to do every week. But there is a difference between English and Introduction to Fundamentals. In English, each of your worksheets counts towards your overall mark. In Introduction to Fundamentals, those worksheets do not count to your final mark. They give you a very valuable practice exercise to prepare you for 3 assessment tasks that you will receive during the semester. So just be aware of that. You are submitting and you are required to submit those worksheets every week. They are not for marks, but they are very, very valuable practice exercises to make sure that you are on track. The assessment tasks happen about every 3 to 4 weeks. And those assessment tasks will include written work and clapping and singing. Okay, now don't worry if you are not a singer. Sometimes people get very scared and they say, but I play the recorder or I play the piano. I don't sing. All musicians sing. They don't necessarily sing well, but all musicians can sing. So we'll all do a bit of singing, okay? I will, the assessment of that singing is not for the quality of the singing, but how accurately you are pitching notes and how accurately you are singing the rhythms. Okay, so that's where the assessment lies, not in the quality, the sound quality of your voice. So please don't worry about that. That's not part of the assessment. The assessment is finding out if you can read the musical notation accurately and present it as either clapping or singing. And I will teach you how to do that. So you don't need to worry about that. Those worksheets are due on Monday every week. So on Monday this week, you received instructions about worksheets 1 and 2. Those worksheets are not due on Friday, but on Monday. Okay, so on Monday, you can submit the answers to those worksheets. For that, you will need to have a piece of paper and a pencil. Please don't use pen for these exercises, because if you do something in pen and you make a mistake with it, you can't draw it out and start again. And you will be making lots of mistakes for the next few weeks. And that's fine. That's expected. Okay, so don't worry about that too much. But please do them in pencil, then take a photograph of them and send them to me. Even better is if you have on your cell phone a scanning app. How many of you have got a scanning app where you can take a photo of something, but it makes it into a PDF? How many of you have got that? Just put up your hand if you've got an app like that on your phone already. Good. A lot of you have got that. If you haven't got that app yet, please can you speak to each other on the WhatsApp page and share with each other which ones you have found to be the most effective and the best. And the reason that I ask you for this is that when you submit those things as PDFs, they are smaller than if you take a photograph of them in terms of data usage. So it will save you some data, and then I can easily save it onto my computer and keep a track of your progress. Okay, so please be aware of that. You submit on a Monday, and if possible, as a PDF. If you don't have access to a PDF app, then as a photograph. Okay. And you should receive feedback on those worksheets within a couple of days. Okay, the idea in this class is that you get feedback as quickly as possible on your worksheets so that you can see where the errors are and correct them very quickly. Here, we move very, very fast with the work. So it's very important that we can correct mistakes quickly so that you don't fall behind. The other important thing about this is, in a class like this, where we are moving with the work so very quickly, it is very, very important for you to feel comfortable enough to ask questions you don't understand. So I want to point out something to you here. You may think that because I teach this class that I am an expert. And in certain respects, I am. In music, I am an expert. But I am also a learner and a lifelong learner. So one of the things that I am learning every year is how to teach more effectively so that people understand more effectively. So I'm always learning how to be a better lecturer. But I'm also learning more things about the way that we can write music and the way that we can notate music when I'm teaching. So I'm also a learner, just like you are. Sometimes you will be teaching me things about Zulu culture, which I don't know, either through the music that you are presenting to me or through ways of interaction. And so I'm also a learner of culture, just like you will be learning a bit about my culture. So we are on an equal standing here. I'm not better than you, and you are neither better than me. I am your teacher and your guide, but I'm also a learner, just like you are my teacher in certain respects. You come with experience and with knowledge that I don't have, that you'll be able to share with me and that I can learn from you. So for that reason, I want to make you to feel as comfortable as possible in these classes, to feel as though you can ask questions at any time. No question that you ask will go unanswered. I may not be able to give you an answer straight away, but I may be able to give you an answer at a later stage. And neither will I consider any of your questions as silly questions. Some people feel scared about asking questions because they think that they will look silly. This class is not about looking silly or clever. It's certainly not about that. It's only about learning how to read music effectively and to perform music effectively from musical notation. And I will go to any length that I possibly can to make sure that you understand fully and comfortably. Okay, so I want you to feel free, I want you to feel comfortable, and I want you to feel confident enough to ask questions when you wish. If you want to ask a question, all you need to do is to put up your hand, and then I will see if I can answer what you have to ask. And then you will know, of course, by now that I am not Zulu speaking. So unfortunately, I am at a disadvantage because the vast majority of you are first language Zulu speakers. So I'm not able to communicate with you in your mother tongue, which is unfortunate because it means that to some degree, both of us are disadvantaged in some way. In some ways, you are disadvantaged because you are receiving information in a language that is not your own. And that means that there is a possibility that you won't understand fully. On the other side, when you want to communicate questions of understanding to me, because English is not always, Zulu is not my mother tongue, I may not fully understand what you do not understand. So for that reason, we have been working very hard at trying to create a bilingual space for us for this class. And you will have seen from the videos that I've used students in the past to help me present these classes who are Zulu speaking and who have been able to offer the information in Zulu for you. And I'm hoping that will assist you along the way. Also, later on this month, in fact, sorry, in early March, we are going to provide for you the textbook, which you have downloaded, which is in English, and it has been translated into Zulu for you so that you can access it in your mother tongue. So we're making every effort here to ensure that you will have full access to these things in a language that is comfortable and familiar to you. You'll also see, and you will know from the videos that you've watched, that I try to use musical examples that are familiar to all of us. Things like the national anthem, things like songs like Shosholoza and so on. If you think that you have a song that will also work for particular examples, you are welcome to share that with me, and I will try and incorporate it with our teaching method. The point is to show you that this system, while it was conceived in the West, while it was designed in Europe, in England, and in America, it works equally well for local music and for local music making. And so that's why I've been using local examples to demonstrate how this system works. I have a question for you now. I know a lot of students who come to UKZN who are interested in music have used another notation system, which is called tonic solfa. How many of you have used or are familiar with the notation system called tonic solfa? If you've used that, can you put up your hand, then I can see. If you've sung in a choir, you probably have used tonic solfa. That's the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do system. I see some of you have used it. I'm hoping in the second semester to introduce you to a formal course in tonic solfa notation, because what I've also discovered is that while many people use tonic solfa, they do not know the full system. You may be interested to know that the tonic solfa system is based on the staff notation system. And once you have learned the staff notation system, you'll easily find the similarities between the two. They were both designed in Europe. Many people think that tonic solfa is a South African notational system, but it actually comes from England. And it's designed to make the staff notation system easier to read. But it does rely on the same system of music to work. So later on in this year, I hope to give you a full introduction to that so that you understand it when you see it, and if you've been using it already, so that you can use it effectively and fully. Samkele Siwe, you want to ask a question? Or if you've just forgotten to take your hand down? We've got two Samkes in this class. Samke Msomi and Samkele Siwe. Okay, you forgot to take your hand down. That's fine, no problem. Okay. All right. So the important thing is that you feel comfortable to air your view in this class, and that you feel comfortable to ask questions, and that we can learn together and from each other. Okay. Right, now, let's get on to some actual learning for today. So let's see how many of you were able to access the videos and watch them for today. Please put up your hand if you've managed to watch the two videos. So the idea for each class is that by the time we have our class on Thursday, you will have watched the videos that are set for that week, okay? Who wants to be brave enough to tell me what the first video was about? Just open your mic when you're ready to speak about it. Nobody did nobody, you all watched, but none of you know what it's about. Come, be brave and tell me about it.
I watched it as well.
Yes.
It spoke about musical notation, where we were introduced to different symbols and numbers and beats. We spoke in the video. It was about crochet, minim. Another thing was semi-brief and dotted minim. Yes, but to really
Correct.
understand them, because I was very skeptical that what if I get everything wrong? I've never been introduced to such musical notations, but it was actually a very good experience and learning video. Thank you so much, sir.
Good, thank you. Who can tell me which song I used to introduce those concepts? Which song did I use, which I hope all of you will know?
National anthem.
The national anthem, yes. Okay, Nkosi Sikelele. You all know that, right?
Yes.
Good. Okay. And you will have noticed that in the section of the national anthem that I chose, there were short notes, medium notes, and long notes. And the idea of that video was to introduce you to 3 types of rhythms. For the next week or so, we're going to be concentrating on how to write out the rhythm of music. So music is made up of all sorts of different things. It depends what kind of music we're doing. Let's say you're listening to a song that is being sung. That song has words, it has rhythm, and it has something called melody, okay? So the example that we looked at, Nkosi Sikelele, has all 3 of those things: words, rhythm, and melody. But we were looking only at the rhythm. Although we were looking at the words, those were not the important part of the class. The important part of the class was looking at how long each of the syllables was when we are singing them. So when we write down music, we need to know how long each musical note is. And we also need to learn when to be quiet. So you will have learned in the second video as well about when music is quiet and how to write that, and when music is moving through rhythm. All right, so I'm going to share a screen with you now. Just put it for you. And you can tell me when you can see the screen.
Yes, we can see the screen.
Good. All right. Now, I want to ask you if you can please mute your microphone, because we'll do a little experiment so that you can see what it's like when you don't mute your microphone. Okay. I want you to look at number 1. Number 1. And you'll see my cursor is around this note. Can somebody please tell me, what is this note here called? What is the formal name for this note?
Minim. It's the minim.
It's a minim, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And how much is that note worth?
2 beats.
2. Yes, it's worth
2. Yes.
2. How much, or what is this one here called?
A crochet.
A crochet, yes. How much is that one worth?
1.
Cotton 1.
It's worth 1. Yes.
1. Yes.
Okay.
This is with 1.
What is this one here? With a little.
It's a semi-brief.
A dotted minim, correct? How much is it worth?
2.5.
Oh,
Half.
It's a
is it 2 or is it 3?
3.
3. Yes. Somebody said, somebody gave us a very interesting answer, 2.5. I will come to 2.5 later on, okay? But it's
Okay.
unfortunately not 2.5, it's 3, okay? 3. We'll see which ones come to a half in a minute. Okay, then what is this big one here?
Semi-brave. Semi-brava.
Semi-breve, yes. Semi-breve,
Semi-brave.
that's it. It's a strange word to say, semi-breve.
Oh, semi-brave.
And how much is it worth?
4.
4, correct.
4. Yes.
Now, what is this funny thing here?
It's a rest.
Crotchet rest.
Yes, and
Crotchet
what does
rest.
it mean? What, if you see that, what does it mean?
It's a one
You have to.
pause.
Yes, you must be quiet for 1 count, okay? And when you see
Yes.
this one, what does that mean?
It's 2 pause. Sorry, 2 beats. Huh? And it's for 2 though.
Counts of silence.
2 beats of silence. Yes. Okay. This one here is 2 beats of music. This one is 2 beats of silence.
It is a silence. Yeah.
All right. So now we're going to try an experiment. Please switch off your microphone. All of you must switch off your microphone onto mute. And now I am going to clap like this. And I want you to see if you can clap this example while I'm keeping this beat here. Each of these is worth 1. Okay, so I'm just going to keep clapping like this, and you try on your own to see if you can clap it, okay? When you've finished clapping it, then give me a thumbs up. Just number 1. Yo, only 3 people finished it so far. Another one. Who else is finished? Good. Good. Right, now we're going to try an experiment. You may all unmute yourself at the same time. And now you'll see why I make you mute your microphones when we try and clap it together. Let us try now and clap it together. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, and then we start. Okay? You ready?
Okay.
Here we go.
Yes.
1,
Yes.
2, 3. You see? You see why I don't let you do it all together at the same time? Because it comes all at different times. So now, can I ask you please to mute your microphones again? And this time I'm going to clap it for you so that you can hear what it would sound like if I'm clapping it correctly. Okay? When you are clapping a 2-count note, you won't clap like this, 1, 2. You'll clap like this, 1, 2. There's only 1 clap for the duration of 2. Okay, or when you clap for a 3-count note, it'll be 1, 2, 3. And when you clap for a 4-count, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So this is what number 1 will sound like. So Tanya, I'll come to your question just now. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1. Rest. 1, 2, 3, 1, rest, 1, 2, 1, rest, rest, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the correct way to clap this. If you can see, I don't know if you can see this, when I clap something that's 4 counts, I do this. 1, swim, swim, swim. Okay, that still gives us 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But we get the motion of 4 all the way along. Okay, or if you're doing 3 like this, 1, 2, 3. Okay, or 2, 1, 2. All right. So now I want you to try that again and see if you can clap it for yourself. You're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you start. Okay. I'm going to give you 1 minute to try that on your own to see if you can do this clap, swim. When there's a rest like this, then just say like this, rest, rest. Okay. Give it a try. When you're finished, put your hand up so that I can see that you're finished. Thank you. Paradise is done. Timbaletu. Samkeli Siwe is done. Sotani is done. Linda's finished. Zibuile. Good. Sandile. Tandasiwe. Good. All right. Now, you can take your hands down unless you want to ask a question. Okay. Now I'm going to approach it in a slightly different way so that you can see what I mean when something is worth 2. I'm going to sing this rhythm for you now on 1 note, okay? So that you can see how long each of them is. And I'm going to click on my finger like this so that you can hear the beat, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. Now you can see that sometimes I'm quiet. When the rest is there, I'm quiet. And when a note is 2 beats long, I sing for 2 beats. Or when a note is 4 beats long, I sing for 4 beats. Are we all basically okay with that? If you're okay with that, put your thumbs up. If you aren't okay with it, see if you can tell me where you think you need me to help you. If you are a bit scared to do that, just send me a WhatsApp so that I can see what you need me to help you with. So if you're with me, if you understand where I'm going so far, give me a thumbs up. If you need assistance with something or you think you're not quite understanding it, you can tell me or you can send me a WhatsApp so that I can try and assist you.
I think I'm getting lost a little bit. Can you please help me?
Sure, I'll try.
Well, it's after that one silent, the second one.
This one.
Let's first start with the first. No. Let's start with the first one, sir, please.
That one.
I can get all these notes, but you see, they going to the end, I just get lost.
After the rest.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's go up to the rest and then we'll see if we can work out what the problem is. Okay, so when we're going to the rest, this is what it would be. 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, rest. Okay, so you're happy up until there. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, so it's after the rest that I need to see if I can assist you. So the rest itself is only worth 1 count. So when we get to the rest, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, rest. 1, 2, 3, 1, rest. 1, 2, 1, rest, rest. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So for every rest, if it helps you, just say rest for every beat that that rest is worth. So if it's a 2 beat rest, then you go rest, rest. If it's a 4 count rest, 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 rest. That will still keep you in the rhythm. Does that help?
Yes, 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 a lot. Thank you. I actually couldn't see clearly on my screen that was dotted minim. So thank you.
Okay. I see. Okay. Yes. I think it's probably quite small on your cell phone if you're watching on a cell phone. Sorry about that. That's one of the reasons why it's also a little bit easier if we're in a classroom so that you can see the whiteboard and you can see exactly what's written down. It makes life a little bit easier for us all. Are there any other questions?
So
Are you
why,
Yes, go ahead.
why isn't it 2.5? But it is said it's
2.5. I'll come to that just now. I will ask, is that Zibuile?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll come back to that just now, Zibuile. Paradise and Tandiswa ask if I can do the la 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 with the fingers clicking. Okay. So when I'm clapping, let me first do it clapping again. Then I'm going to do the la la la. Okay. So here's the clapping. 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, rest. 1, 2, 3, 1, rest. 1, 2, 1. Rest, rest. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to sing it for you. I'll say the rests for you, okay? And I'm clicking. The clicking is worth 1 each. So it'll be like this: 1, 1, 1, 1. It's like I'm clicking crotchets. Okay? Click, click. Those are the crotchets, okay? La, 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 la. Now I'm going to count while I'm singing. 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, rest. 1, 2, 3, 1, rest. 1, 2, 1, rest, rest. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that help you? That's for Paradise, and I see Paradise is happy, and for Tandisiwe.
Say.
Yes. Go ahead. Tandisiwe, I see that you are happy. Zotani.
Can I try to sing?
I'm struggling to hear you, Zotani. Can you say it again? You want to try singing example number 1? You are welcome to try and sing it if you would like to.
Sorry.
I think that we've lost Sotani briefly, but when you come back, Sotani, you're welcome to ask me, or if you want to sing, if I've understood you correctly, if you wanted to try singing it, I'm quite happy for you to try. All right. While we wait for you, that's fine. Now, somebody asked a question here. The counting part helped. Okay, Samke, good. I'm glad. All right, now, I want to go on to the next little section here. I'll send these to you so that you can practice clapping them if you like. In the second video, let's just stop sharing for the moment. In the second video, we dealt with some other different types of note values, smaller types of note values. We learned in the first video about semibrieves, minims, dotted minims, and crotchets, 1, 2, 3, and 4. But beats can be divided into 2, so that for every click of the finger, we have 2 beats. So here's the click of the finger. Remember, the click of the finger is worth 1 crotchet. 1, 1, 1, 1. But we can clap 2 for every 1 click like this. Okay, so for every click there, I was tapping 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, which means we can divide each click into 2. Okay, who can remember what those notes are called when they are half beat notes? What are those notes called? Can anybody remember from the video? Yes?
Okay, no, to go first.
Okay.
Quavers and semiquavers.
Quavers and semiquavers, correct. The one that I was clapping now are called quavers. Those are the half ones. Semiquavers are half of a half, so they are quarters. So if I'm clicking 1, 2, 3, 4, these are quavers. Da, da, dee, da, dee, da, dee, da. These are semiquavers. Da, 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 dee, 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 da, dee. There are 4 semiquavers for each 1 click. There are 2 quavers for every 1 click. Now, we were looking at something called the family tree of notes. I want to just show you that again. Sorry, I just want to find it quickly on my computer so that I can show it to you. Where have I put it now? Ah, here it is. Okay, let me share it with you. Tell me when you can see the screen. It's going to be very small if you're using your cell phone. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can see the screen.
All right. So at the top is the semibrieve. It is worth 4 beats. If we divide the semibrieve into 2, we get minims. There are 2 minims in a semibrieve because each minim is worth 2. 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, right? Now, each of the minims can divide into 2, and those are crotchets. 1 crotchet plus 1 crotchet is equal to a minim, 2, okay? And each of the crotchets can divide into 2 quavers, and each of the quavers can divide into 2 semiquavers. Okay, so you can get from 4 counts, 1, 2, 3, 4, to 2 counts, 1, 2, to 1 count, 1, to half a count, da, da, di, da, di, da, di, da, to quarters of a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The bottom ones here are the fastest. These are a little bit slower. These are slower. These are even slower. This is the slowest. Okay. Now, let me just go down a little bit here, because I have an exercise for you to do. Let me just find it now. Sorry, I've gone past it. You're going to use your piece of paper and your pencil now. Okay. Please make sure you've got your piece of paper and a pencil, and you're going to get ready to send me a photograph on WhatsApp. So if you haven't got a piece of paper and a pencil, quickly go and fetch one now. And we're going to do a little bit of an experiment. We're going to practice drawing some notes. The first thing that I want to point out is the note head over here. Now, a note head looks a bit like a rugby ball. Is there a Zulu word for rugby ball? Or is it just rugby ball?
Ibhola lombhoxo.
Thank you. So we want it to look like a rugby ball. So it's not a perfect round circle. It's more like an oblong kind of circle. Okay. Now, the stem of a note, or the tail of the note, when it's going upwards, and you'll learn a little bit later when it must go up and when it must go down. But for the moment, we're just going to practice doing them up and down. When the tail goes up, it must be on the right-hand side of the note. When the tail goes down, like over here, it must be on the left-hand side of the note. Okay. So please, on your piece of paper now, I want you to draw a crotchet with the tail going upwards, and then right next to it, a crotchet with the tail going downwards. Okay, so there the note head must be colored in very clearly. Don't take a photo yet. I'll tell you when to take a photo to send to me. So one crotchet with the tail going up and one crotchet with the tail going down. That shouldn't take you too long. Now your second thing, just below that, I want you to write a quaver. Here is a quaver. This is what a quaver looks like. When the tail of a quaver is going upwards, the flag pushes outwards like that, away from the note. Okay, so when it's going up, the tail or the flag moves away. Okay, but when the note or when the tail is going downwards, you would expect that the flag would come out this way, but it doesn't. It goes towards the note. Okay, so it can be a little bit confusing. I want you to draw an example now of a quaver first with the tail going up and the flag going out, and then with a quaver, the tail going down and the flag going out as well. Okay, so write those two for me. Just move it up a bit so that you can see it there. Some of you may be tempted to try and make the flag very fancy like this. You don't have to do that. You can just draw a straight little line. I'll draw an example for you so that you can see an easier way. So here is a quaver. I'm going to show you a picture of a quaver that I'm just drawing here. with a flag. Do you see that the flag, I've just drawn a straight line?
Yes, sir.
You don't have to do anything fancy for that, okay? Then underneath that, I want you to draw a semiquaver. So a semiquaver has to have 2 flags, and I'm going to demonstrate how to do it now. I'm going to show you the picture of the semiquaver. Can you see it there?
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to draw next to it the one with the tail going down. So they're the 2 examples, okay? When you've done all of those, please take a photo of it and send it to me. I'm going to fetch my cell phone. Please don't send these pictures on the group. Just send them to me individually, okay?
Yes, sir.
When you've finished doing that, I'm going to teach you about writing the rests, and that's quite important. So finish that quickly and send them to me. Thank you, Paradise. Yours are right. Good, Sandile. Good, Dumisani. That's great, Zibulile. Zibulile, sorry, Zibulile.
No, it's Zibuile.
Oh, okay, I've put it wrong here. Zibuyile, is that right? Thank you. Timbaletu, that's good. Linda, that's good. I see you were trying the fancy ones at first with the quavers. See, it's much easier just to the lines.
Yeah, it's very easy.
Okay, now I want to show you how to draw. Okay, that's fine. I've just seen your message now. That's fine. Thank you, Samke. That's good. All right. Now I want to show you something that I found in the past works quite well. The 1 count rest always looks a little bit tricky. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. And people say, I don't know how to draw it, but I'm going to show you an easy way to draw it. So the rest that I'm looking at is this one here. Do you see the one that I'm circling?
Yes, sir.
Now, I like to call this the ZC rest. I don't know how many of you are part of the Zion Christian Church. but you can think of this as your rest, the ZC rest. And the reason that I say that is because if you draw a Z and then a C, you'll get the rest. And I'll show you what I mean. The first thing to do is to draw a Z slightly on its side, like that. Okay. So just imagine that it's slightly skew, Z. And then underneath it, you draw a C. I'll draw it nicely for you here. And I'm drawing a circle around the Z and a circle around the C so that you can see them separately. The Z is at the top, the C is at the bottom. Z, C. Now, I want you to try an experiment writing that rest out for me. So the Z is slightly skew, Z, C. It'd be easier if I could show you this on the board, but that's what it looks like over there. I want you to give it a try and see if you can do it. Once you've got it right, send me a photograph of it, please. So Tani, I've got yours. That's fine. Good. Linda, I've got yours. Good, Demis. Thank you, Zibuile. I think that's actually the best one so far. Well done, Zibuile. That looks really nice.
Thank you, sir.
A pleasure. You need to practice all of these things, writing the notes down, because you're going to be doing a lot of writing of notes. Okay. Tandiswa, that's good. Thank you. Tembaletu, good. Paradise, that's also good. Well done. Sandile, very nice. Ah, Samke. Good. You're all getting it. Okay. The more you practice all of these writing of the notes, the better you will become at them. And you'll see that the worksheets ask you to practice writing these things down. For these rests over here, this one and this one, you'll see that there is a little line above this one and a little line below. Now, a little later in this course, we're going to learn about something called the stave. And I just want to show you what that looks like. There. These 5 lines. I'm sure you've seen this kind of thing before, where music is written on the 5 lines. When you are writing rests which have a line above them or a line below them, it's representing this middle line of the 5 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the third line. 1, 2, 3. So those rests will be written on this line, either going up or going down. Okay, so just remember that when we have learned the full stave, that when you write those rests for a 4-count note and for a 2-count note, the line that is over here, that line represents the 3rd line, and this line represents the 3rd line. Okay. All right, have we got any questions at the moment? Now,
Are there any?
yes.
There are Are there any other rules for rest? Instead of writing on the second space?
No. Don't worry about that. When we've got to the stave, I'm going to show you more about those things at a later stage. Okay, don't worry too much about that at the moment. I will give you more hints as we go along. Now, Zibuyile, was it you who was asking about 2.5 earlier?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to come to the 2.5 now. In the first video, we learned about a dotted minim. And at that point, I said a dotted minim is worth 3. Now, the dot means something very specific. It's like an abbreviation. It's like writing something much smaller. In the case of this note over here, where we've got a minim with a dot, the little dot represents a crotchet. When you see a dot next to a note, it means play the note that you see and add half of that note as well. Okay, so if we took the dot away from this note, what is a minim usually worth without the dot? 2, yes. Okay, now the dot says add half of that note as well. So what is half of 2?
1.
1.
1.
Yes. So 2 plus 1 is equal to 3. So it says
3.
the note for 3. Okay, that's what the dot means. It means add half of the note that you see and play it for that length. So when you see this note over here, what would this note be worth just without the dot?
1.
Without
1. Yes, okay. What is half of 1?
Half.
Half.
1
So
over 2.
when you see, yes, 1/2. When you see a note like this, it means play for 1.5 beats. Okay, just like this one meant play for 3. So the dot means add half. Okay. Zibuyile, does that make sense now?
I'm still puzzled.
You're still puzzled about why it's not 2.5.
Why don't you say 2.5?
Okay, well, like saying 2.5, it's saying 2 plus a half of 2. Okay, so like this, 2 plus, I'm going to show it to you now, a half of 2. Okay, and 2 is equal to 1, isn't it? So it's really being 2 plus 1. If we wanted to write a note which was worth 2.5, we'd have to do this. I'm going to write it out for you now. The first note is worth 2, and the second note is worth a half, and then I have to tie them together. Okay, that would be worth 2.5.
Oh, now I get it.
Can you see?
Get
Glad you've got it now. That's good. Okay. Now, if you do a dot next to a note, you can also do it next to a rest. So if we look at this table over here, when you have a big note like this, it's usually worth 4, okay, without the dot. So half of 4 is 2. So 4 plus 2 is equal to 6. So when you see a semi-breve with a dot next to it, it's worth 6. And when you want to have a rest that is worth 6, you write the semi-breve rest with a dot next to it. You can see all of these rests can have dots next to them. Okay. So does that idea about the dots make sense now?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, sir, can you repeat that again?
Which part would you like me to repeat? Is that Dumisani who is asking me?
Yes, yes, sir.
You want me to repeat this section here?
Yes, yes, please, sir.
Okay. This note over here, if we take the dot away from that note, if we imagine that the dot is not there, how much is it worth?
4.
4, yes. But if we add a dot to it, the dot means you must add another, okay? So half of 4
It's 2.
right. So we've got 4 from the original note and we add 2 and we get 6. So it's saying to
Oh,
playing 4, you must play 6. Okay,
oh, okay, okay.
makes sense now.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Good. Okay. If we look at this note here, if we take the dot away, what is this note worth?
Half.
Half. If the dot is there, it's asking us to play a half of a half. So what is a half of a half? Do you know?
1.
Think it.
Isn't it
A quarter.
4.
Yes, it's a quarter, right. So it's a quaver plus a semiquaver. Remember, a semiquaver is a quarter. If I put it up there for you, and a half plus a quarter is equal to 3/4. That's why it says over here, 3/4. Okay. Now, you may say to me, how on earth do I clap 3/4 of a beat? And it's a good question, okay? So I'm going to show you a song that you should know, I think, that actually has 3/4 beats in it. It also has 1.5 beats in it. How many of you know the song Shosholoza?
I do.
You probably know it all.
Good, okay.
I
I
do.
thought sometimes when
Not at all.
you don't know it, okay. Sometimes when
I don't know.
when I know a song, it doesn't mean that young people will know a song because I'm probably almost double your age. So I'm going to sing this song for you. I'm going to sing, in fact, I'm probably more than double some of your age because I'm nearly 40. So some of you are usually 18, I think, when you come in. So I'm quite old for you. So I know this song. When I was a little boy, I sang this song at school. I'll sing it for you. If you know it, then put up your hand. Shosholoza, shosholoza, kule zontaba stimela sikume South Africa. Some of you know it. I'm glad. All right. Those of you who don't know it, what I suggest that you do is you'll see that I put a link to the song. In fact, let me see if I can find that link for you now. I'm just getting that link open for you, and then you can listen to the song. I'm going to put it onto this now. Let me stop sharing that for a moment and find it. Here we go. There's an advert first, okay? So you've just got to be patient for the advert to play, and then you will hear the song. It's going to come up on your screen now. Okay, so you know that song? That's it. Who knows the group that was singing that? That's Ladysmith Black Mambazo. Do you know what genre that is called? It's got a special name.
Umbadama.
It's
Yes, that's
I
what
think
Stata Mia is what I know it
Oh,
by.
Starter me one.
Yes.
You
Starter
are
me,
starter
Mpatana
me
one.
one.
Okay. So
Starter
some of
me
you,
one.
some of you who are doing AMD, African Music and Dance, will actually be doing Stata Mia later this year. So you will get a chance to sing that kind of music. It's beautiful. It's a lovely kind of sound. Now, the rhythm for that song, I have written it out for you in staff notation. You can see that you actually know some of the ways that these rhythms work. Okay, so I'm showing it to your screen now. The beginning is a 1.5 note and a half note. Sho, sholoza, sho, sholoza, kulezuntaba. So the beginning part, ba, 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 those first 2 notes. The first note is 1.5. The second note is a half. Okay. So when you are trying to work out how do I clap this, all you need to think of is shosholoza. Okay. Then if you look further along, do you see the 2 notes that I'm circling now on la and si? Stimela, sipume. Do you see that? That note over there is a dotted quaver, which means it's worth 3/4 of a beat. Okay. Followed by a quarter. 3/4 plus a quarter is equal to 1 whole beat. Da 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 da. That's what a 3/4 plus a quarter is. Da 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 da. Another one which you will know, which also has a 3/4 note and a quarter, is from the national anthem. Sounds the call to come together, and united we shall stand. If you look at the way that those pieces of music are written, both Shosholoza and Sounds the Call, you will already see notes that you are familiar with. You'll also see a rest, a place where you need to be quiet, okay? You'll also see there are 2 count notes, 1 count notes, and 3 count notes. You'll see that there are half count notes. These are all things that you are familiar with already, but you haven't seen them written out before, for most of you at least, okay? Is what I'm telling you beginning to make a little bit of sense now?
yes, sir, it does.
Good. There's one last thing now that I need to cover with you for today, and that's called a tie. Okay, a tie is like a piece of rope between 2 notes. One side of the rope is tied to 1 note and the other side of the rope is tied to another note. And when you see that, it means play those notes as though they are 1 note. So if you look at this picture over here with the tied notes, a crotchet and a minim, and then they've got the piece of rope in between them, what it means is don't play that note and then that one separately. Play them as though they are 1 note worth 3 counts, not a 1 count and a 2 count, but 1 note as though it is 3 counts. Okay? It's easy, isn't it? It's just as though they've been held together by a piece of rope. All right, now I want to go to the 2 worksheets just to make sure that you are happy with what I'm expecting. Here is worksheet 1. And in worksheet 1, you are going to be drawing examples of each of these notes, a bit like what you did for me just now on your cell phones. So for this one, you're going to draw 5 of those, 5 of those, 5 of those, 5 of those, 5 of those. It's just to get used to drawing those notes. Under these ones, you've already been doing that in this class. You're going to identify how much each of those are worth. Okay, that will be easy for you now. Here, you're going to give me the note names, what they're called. So are they crotchets or quavers or semi-breves or minims? For these ones, you're going to draw 5 examples. So you already know about the ZC now. That should make this one a little bit easier for you. 5 examples of this, 5 examples of this, 5 examples of that one. Underneath these, you're going to tell me how much they are worth. And then you're going to answer these questions here, okay? Then for worksheet 2, going to do the same sort of things, draw 5 examples, tell me what each of these is worth, and the technical names, so semiquavers, quavers, dotted semiquavers, and so on. And you're going to do more examples of those. Now, one of the things that we haven't dealt with yet today is that when you have groups of quavers or groups of semiquavers, you can put them together underneath a beam, okay? So do you see here, we've got 2 semiquavers together because they've got 2 lines here. 2 semiquavers are put together. Here, 4 quavers are put together. Here, 2 quavers are put together, and here 4 semiquavers are put together. So you can put them together under a beam like that, okay? When you put them under a beam like that, it doesn't mean that you add them together and play them as one note. They are still played as individual notes or clapped as individual notes, but it just makes them easier for your eye to see when they are grouped together. Okay, you'll learn more about this as we go along, so don't worry about that too much, but I do want you to practice drawing notes beamed together. So in this example here, I'm asking you to draw the 4 quavers like this. Okay, so they must have a long line across them. For these 2 semiquavers, I want you to draw them like this with the 2 lines over there. Okay, and for these 3 quavers, I want you to draw the line underneath them. Okay, so it's just getting used to drawing notes together. The last one is a trick question for you. Okay, but it's not such a difficult trick question because I've given you a link here which can help you if you don't understand what I'm asking. So if you don't know what this note might mean, go and find this YouTube video and watch the YouTube video, and it will tell you what a double dotted note is. In fact, if you go on to the Learn platform, that video, that YouTube video for which this link is over here, is on the Learn platform. But for those of you who haven't got access to Learn yet, if you put this into your Google, you'll come up with a video which speaks about double dotted notes, okay? And that will tell you what it means. So I want you to go and do this on your own to find out what that means. Right, one last question for you. When are these worksheets due?
Monday.
Monday, yes.
Friday.
Yes, some of you have already submitted them. That's great, but I'm not going to mark them until everybody has handed them in. So you'll get your marked worksheets on Tuesday probably, or Wednesday. So good work. I'm very pleased that you're doing well so far. If you have any further questions from what we've done today, please feel free to ask me on WhatsApp. And if you have anything that you want to ask about the worksheets as you're working through them, please also feel free to ask me about that on WhatsApp. Are there any final questions before we finish our class?
So I wanted to ask, in order to determine a song's rhythm, you need to know the melody.
In order to determine, I lost that word just after determine.
In order to determine a song's rhythm, you need to know the melody.
No, you don't necessarily need to know the melody. You can separate the melody and the rhythm. Usually though, I've just used songs with a melody that you are familiar with, but you'll see that later on in the semester, I'm picking up a rhythm for you and ask you, what does this particular rhythm, what melody goes with this rhythm? It's a very strong rhythm, so you'll probably recognize it straight away because it's of an African hymn that many people know. So when you hear that rhythm, you may think, I know that rhythm, and there is a melody that goes with that rhythm. But you can separate them as well. You can have either the rhythm or melody on its own. It's the rhythm which gives us the character or the drive of the melody. But that's a good question. Thank you, Sibuyile.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.